Is it better to be a commission salon or a rental salon for your staff? Do they make more in either scenario? We're going to talk about that and a ton more, all on today's podcast. Salon owners are some of the most amazing people on planet Earth. The only problem is sometimes their hearts are so big and they give so much of themselves to their staff and guests that it creates unintended consequences. Our goal is to change the industry by elevating the way the rest of the world sees salons, spas, and barbershops and give it the credibility that it truly deserves. This is the Salon Owner Evo Revo Show. Today's podcast is brought to you by Salon Scale, allowing you to charge by what you know, not by what you feel. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Jason Everett, and with me is Doug Campbell. We are the co-founders of the High Performance Salon Academy, and excited to be on with you on this hot topic today. Doug, commission versus rental. What's better? And I don't just mean for the salon owner. We'll talk about that, but also what's better for the staff, because there's some myths out there, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is getting the facts on the table. So, because I mean, they're two different models. They both work. We just got to know the facts about what it takes to do each one and what you really want out of your career. Because I think the problem is there's a lot of misinformation out there, and people make decisions, and then they realize, crap, I'm into something I didn't realize what I was getting into because of marketing that they've heard, and then the thing and marketing that maybe their families heard and get in their ear about things, and it just it'd be good if we could just have good conversations and get some real facts out there about which one's which and what's involved with each one. I think that would solve a lot of problems. It doesn't have to be this craziness of oh, I'm leaving and going and doing my own thing, and then they get out there and I have no idea what I'm doing. And I had no idea I had to do this. And I had no idea when I'm on vacation, I still have to pay rent. And I had no idea that, when I'm sick, I still have to pay rent.
So full disclosure here. In the High Performance Salon Academy, we fully support commission salon models, hybrid salon models, and any team-based type of environment that you have a team of people and you're looking to grow them and develop them. We do not coach rental salons. It's not. Basically, you're running like an apartment complex. So we don't coach that way. So I think it's full disclosure time for us to let you know that we probably are at a level biased, but we want to give you the goods and bads of rental and the goods and bads of commission to hopefully give you as much of an unbiased opinion as possible. But I do think it's important to know which side of the camp that we already stand on, okay? We're going to do our best to stand in the middle. The other thing I think is important for you to know is this comes off the tail of just this last week. We did a masterclass. Every month we do a masterclass, and this month's topic was how to prove commission is better than rental to your staff. Because sometimes, and Doug, you were mentioning this, is like people hear this idea, and usually through marketing, they hear this idea because like suite renters and booth renters and things like that say, keep 100% of your income, come over to suite rental or booth rental. And it becomes this like big ad campaign that says keep 100% of your money, which is a blatant lie. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And on this masterclass that we did, we had over 1,300 people sign up for our masterclass this last week. And it was really powerful. And it showed me like the power of like, this is such a hot topic that we decided to do another masterclass on the subject. And it's going to be coming up. If you're depending on when you're watching this, it's gonna be in May. I think it's on May. I need to double check. May 16th or something. Let me see if I can get the exact date. So I tell you, May 16th. I did say it right. So May 16th at 8:30 Pacific. If you want to get access to, I'm gonna do another live one. I'll be on, and I'm gonna walk through literally the finances side by side of what it takes to run a rental salon, a commission salon. We're not gonna do that today, but if you want to come back and get that, do me a favor and comment masterclass, and we'll make sure that we get you a spot in that masterclass. We may have another 1,000 people sign up for that because this is like the topic of topics. But I want to talk about something. If you don't know this, do you guys know that sometimes advertising lies to you? Did you know that? Because I think this idea of like keeping 100% of your money is kind of crazy, and we'll talk about it today. But the most famous like kind of lie of advertising that I want to give you today is from Listerine. Maybe you use Listerine as your mouthwash, or at least heard of Listerine, right? It's a very popular mouthwash. And what I want to talk about is Listerine, if you don't know this, created an entire disease. Did you know that? Listerine created an entire disease to sell Listerine. And the disease they created is called halitosis. Maybe some of you guys are familiar with this, but let's see if I can put this up on the screen here. They actually, if you Google just halitosis ads, you can see them all. But they're amazing, these ads. It's like, how was your breath today? Oh, this is a good one. always a bridesmaid, never a bride, because you have halitosis, right? I love this. Are you unpopular with your children, right? Like, I just absolutely love that these campaigns, they created and invented this disease, halitosis, to sell you something, which was Listerine. And Doug, I figured that'd be entertaining for today, right? Like this idea of like halitosis makes you unpopular, right?
Yeah,
And
and
it's
it's
sold
like,
green. And we're talking, these ads are from like the 30s, 20s, something like that.
yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing. I mean, it's just like right now. It's like you got to realize when somebody's advertising something, it's because they want something from you. They're trying to create the environment that you'll do it. And
Right,
Sweet Rentals, I mean, they want you to come and sign that lease. They want that lease
right,
signed. So if they can
right,
create an illusion that you're going to keep all of your money, and then people around you that, I mean, if people don't know what it takes to actually do it, we're going to say, yeah, why shouldn't you keep all of your money?
right.
So I think that those are things that I think and to me, I think there's a place for booth rental. I think there's certain people and type situation that it works
Yeah.
well.
Can we
Uh,
talk about the situations where rental, because I think there's three different types of like rental scenarios that end up playing out. But like, let's talk about these. What would be a reason to rent? What would be the reason to work in a commission salon in your mind, Doug?
well, I mean, if I wanted like complete control of my time and I knew that I had good time management, then
Mhm.
I would say okay. Because the thing about it is, you've got to go now and get all of your color and you got to realize either one you choose, your end of the day take home money is going to be very close to each other.
It's gonna be
Um,
similar.
it's
Well, and this is
right.
the thing, just to give you some framework on commission. When we do the analysis, and you'll see this in the master class, is that at first glance, the results, the actual bottom line results is your income is about the same. But if you factor in some of the benefits from commission salon, your income goes up. And if you factor in some of the extra work in rental, your commission goes down, or your income goes down. And I like to the point, Doug, this whole thing on keeping 100% of your income, it's bullshit. Oh, excuse me, my language. We'll have to see if I can bleep that out. But anyway, the idea is it's BS that you're going to keep all that money, right? Is that the idea is that you still have to pay taxes. You're still going to have rent as involved, and I see this a lot. Is that I saw something the other day that said rent is your number one expense if you're a renter, and if you want to control your profitability, rent a cheaper space. I was like, well, look, if you're going to rent a cheaper space and have your image is going to go down, all these things. And I'm like, and honestly, at the end of the day, if you think rent's your biggest expense, apparently you're not paying tax, because tax is really your biggest expense. You know what I mean? I'm like, between your rent and your tax and your supplies and all these other things and your time spent and all these other things, there's a lot of scenarios. And I think you mentioned it, Doug, is control of time. Like, if you want to be able to work when you want without any boss, and I still think this is kind of a myth here. If you want to work without any boss, then okay, sure, start your own company and do that. But I think a lot of people misunderstand. They don't understand what it really takes to run a business. And this is my thought on it. And again, I'm like saying, like, here's a scenario, but then watch out. I think you go from having one boss to having hundreds of bosses, because now all of your clients are your boss instead of the one boss that you worked with at the salon. Right?
You know,
Is now
yeah,
you're answerable to every one of your guests instead of the owner of the salon.
right, because you can no longer say this is the salon policy.
Right. Here's the
It's like
salon
now
policy. These are the
you're
salon
it,
hours.
right? You're
It's like,
it.
you want me to work on a Saturday, you have to. And again, stylists are very often very accommodating to their guests. So if their guests like, I really need you to work on Sunday, otherwise I can't come in, you'll probably bend and say, okay, I'll do it.
Well, I mean,
Right.
it's the discipline, like I said, time management of that. If half your book cancels in a day, that you stay there and you start marketing yourself instead of, oh,
Right.
it's time to go shopping or it's time to go to the beach. I
Yeah.
think that's just the illusion. I think that all the things that are done that make it work, like if you worked at a commission salon, there's a fully stocked color bar that's sitting back there, and you can go get any color that you want at any time that you
Right.
want. If you're doing your own thing, then you have to go to the supply store, make sure you got the color for the clients that are coming in, and hoping someone else in the booth rental situation hasn't come in and taken some of your color because they didn't go to the supply store. I mean,
Right.
that
Right.
would happen. So I'm saying, if you're a very disciplined person, I mean, you got to realize it is. People say, I want to be my own business owner. That's great, but it is owning a business. If you're going to do it right, you've got to pay your
Yeah.
taxes. You got to do your accounting. You got to
Right.
you got to manage yourself. You got to say, am I willing to? Yes, I can be flexible when I'm doing hair, but am I willing to put in the other hours that it's going to take, getting my
To really run
supplies,
the business.
doing my accounting, doing the other thing, doing my marketing, doing all those things that you need to do. And if you are that person, then great. And what's funny is usually whenever people do really good and they say like, "Wow, I really got this down," is one of the things that we talked about. It's the funny the circle. They go back and they say, I could open a commission-based salon. I could create a
Right.
team and we could do this together. And so it's like,
Right. And so, yeah, I was gonna say there's basically 3 ways that people go into rental, and I think this is really important. Is like people leave and think they have like an entrepreneurial seizure. Hey, I'm gonna be in business for myself. And there are people, and again, Doug, you mentioned it. The number one person who goes into rental, not the most of them, but this is one type of person, right? Is that somebody goes into rental environment and goes, wow, I think I'm actually pretty good at running a salon, and they leave from rental and open a commission salon, right? Is they go back to like, I'm gonna build a team and do this for real. And that's great. We love people like that. We have a lot of people like that in our academy that they said, hey, I rented for a while and then I went and started a commission salon, and that's fantastic. But if you want to build lasting wealth, that's where the commission salon comes in. So you want freedom of your schedule and not be told what to do, that's great. But if you want to be able to build real wealth, that comes from creating a commission salon. So number one is they realize that they are good at running a business and they start a commission salon. Number two is the renter who goes off on their own and they kind of plateau. Like this happens a lot. Is they're like, well, hey, I had $60,000 a year in business and I leave and I keep that 60,000, or we could be 100,000, or it could even be more than that. But they kind of plateau as they maintain their exact same level of income for a long time. And you and I both know, Doug, that if you're just maintaining, you're really going backwards, right? Is that you got to be able to grow on a regular basis. Otherwise you're in trouble. And a lot of renters struggle with growth once they leave the commission environment because they're spending all their time, instead of marketing and growing and doing things like that, they're spending it behind the chair. And even if they grow their time behind the chair, they reduce their hours. So even for commission salons, we don't advise the owner to work behind the chair. It's a whole thing, right?
Right. And
Third type of person.
Go ahead.
As I say, third type of person is somebody who goes off to rent on their own. And we see these casualties all the time. They go off to rent, they decide it's too hard, and they leave the industry. Because they're like, you know what, if this was the goal. And I think, honestly, Doug, I think sometimes beauty schools, shame on you for doing this, is you teach people that owning your own business and becoming a renter is the goal. And shame on you, the salon owners that have endorsed the same idea. And I see this in salons, and it makes me sick, is that salon owners that go, well, hey, I put them on, hourly or on commission until they build up their book of business enough so they can just rent from me. And somehow rental becomes the goal. It's like once I got you on your feet, then you can just be a renter and not have to worry about it, make all the money that you want. And like, that's how they do it. I've seen salons with that as their goal. I think sometimes that schools have that as their goal for people. And it creates a problem because when you see it as the goal and all of a sudden you start to shrink when you're at that size, like, I guess this industry isn't great. And we know that's not the case. Right. We know it's not the case.
Yeah, it's like I talked to several people that've been booth rental and then come back into the commission world. And the thing that they say is that it really made me lazy. It's like, one, I didn't realize how much other stuff I have to do. But then because I didn't have parameters around me, and that's why I say is people that are very self-disciplined can do good at it. Right. But is that what is doing the business part of it, what you really want to do?
Is that why you got into it?
That's where I think working in a salon situation where you're still going to be making about the same money. I mean, we got to get clear that, when you do the math, the money comes out real close. Yeah. And so
if you don't know how to do that math, we are doing that masterclass coming up again in May. So comment masterclass. I'll send you the link and get you the tickets and all that stuff. By the way, I got to cut you off, Doug, because we got to take a break. We're overdue. Okay. We're going to take a break. We'll come right back. When we come back, we'll talk about some of those financial differences and what are some of the other advantages and disadvantages of rental versus commission. We'll be right back.
Hey, HPSA listeners, let me ask you this. Are you tired of not knowing what your hair color is costing you on every appointment and watching it chew up your profit? Well, with Salon Scale, we take the guesswork out for you. Using a mobile app paired with a Bluetooth scale, Salon Scale will tell you exactly what your color is costing you on every bowl mix down to the gram. As you mix, Salon Scale will also digitally store your formulas and track how much product is being used in real time, so you can manage your inventory, cover your expenses, and generate more profit in your salon. Use promo code HPSA10 to get 10% off an annual subscription. Salon Scale, the new standard for mixing color.
So even tools like that, Doug, I mean, we were just watching on the break there, right? Is like, even tools like Salon Scale are a great example of like, well, so do you have Salon Scale on your own? Like, are you using tools like that? And I think one of the things about commission is the goal is that you spread the cost amongst a bunch of people. And I think sometimes suite rentals are like, oh yeah, well, we spread the building cost amongst lots of people so we can reduce the cost. But what about all the other costs? What about the bulk buying of color and all these other things? Like you're an individual buying color versus buying it bulk that you can in the salon. And then when you add in other things like tools and resources and things like that inside the salon, you're having to divide up the cost of one. So if you want to have a receptionist, and again, sometimes suites will handle it like an automated phone system or something like that. Like there's some of those things that start to get used inside the salon to spread them out, but it often is a really big problem as far as how much cost you have to outlay. Because if you want to advertise, you're advertising for one, you're not advertising for five. And again, every single one of those costs will rack up and add up against you. And again, I keep plugging it, but I really want you guys to get it. Is if you want to come to that masterclass and see the side-by-side numbers on how it compares, and I'll tell you even more, I'll show you myths and what are the misconceptions, and we can go even deeper. But I really think this is a powerful topic because so many people in commission salons, and again, I go back to the advertising we talked about up front, people believe they can just keep 100% of their income. Right. And that's again, that goes back to the advertising myth. And I think as a commission salon owner, if you're watching this, would you do me a favor and comment commission, by the way, if you're watching this on video and you are a commission salon owner, because I think you have to know that your staff is getting assaulted by campaigns saying, come over here because you can keep 100% of your income. So you know what that means? You need to have a campaign internally inside your salon that talks about how commission is actually better than rental, so that they have at least the other side of the story. Because if you don't have any education like that, or somehow deep down you believe that it is actually better to rent, if you believe that somewhere in your soul or in your core, then all of a sudden they're going to that's the only thing competing for their attention and their friends, family, and in their mind for real estate. And it's going to start really sinking in, and you'll believe that halitosis was a real disease too, right?
Yeah, I think the thing is getting people to understand the bigger picture of you do it all on your own and what that actually means, right, or you do it with a group of people. Because it's the money conversation. It's like when we do the master class and go through the dollars. I mean, the only way you get around, if you're going to cheat on your taxes, if you're not going to report your income, cheat on your taxes.
Sure, 100%. You can steal from the government and
right,
hopefully get away with it, and that would make you more money.
And somebody, their books, like they go into boot rental, they don't know what everything's a hot mess. They're just trying to stay up with stuff, just waiting to one day get audited, and they just legitimately don't know. Instead of working in a commission environment where they're working with a team, have most everything that they need supplied for them, advertising supply with steady flow of clients. As one of the interesting things too that I think people don't take into account, and I find this at just about any level of stylist, they believe when they go boot rental that everybody's going to come with them.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
Yeah, it's I don't care who it is. It's just something. It happens.
Well, they believe that person is only there because of them. Has nothing to do with the salon.
Right, at about 20%, because generally, and this is across the board, it's that there's 20% of your clientele that has been looking for a reason to divorce you, and they just couldn't.
When you leave,
I want to go to somebody else. I've been with her a while, and I like her, and she kind of intimidates me. So, I don't want to.
She's way cooler than I am. I can't back.
And
this
she does pretty good work, and but I'd really kind of like to. And then you leave and you go somewhere else, and you give them the perfect excuse to divorce you. And people's like, I don't understand what happened with those people. And then also, people are coming for an environment. They want to come into an environment where they feel like there's a team working. And in the boot rental section, you don't know what the environment is. You don't know what kind of music the person next to you is going to play, what they're going to be dressed like, and there's no way to control it. So I mean, it's like,
Doug, you bring up a great point. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you before, but like, when I was younger, I had a stylist who worked in a regular commission salon, and I remember she slipped me her number one day. Like, it was very odd that she slipped me her number. She was like, "Hey, just in case you want to book, next time you could just call me directly." And I was like, "Oh, okay, good to know." And she slipped me her number. And then when I texted her or called her, whatever, she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm actually going to another salon, over here in this part of town and whatever." And I remember the first time I walked into the door of that other salon, and it was not so awesome. I walked in the door of that salon and there was nobody in there. It felt like a ghost town. And because again, a lot of times if you have freedom of time, you're like, well, I only work on Tuesdays. I only want to work that one day or 2 days. So the salon didn't feel busy. It was sometimes there'd be one other guest getting their hair done there, and the environment was completely different than the nice pro salon that I had been going to with this person. I switched over to this other salon, and I was like, it wasn't my favorite. And to your point, I probably got my hair cut there for the next 3 years before I found an excuse to leave that gal, because I was like, I never liked it there. I didn't like it there. And I just I didn't know how to appropriately break up with that stylist. And it was like, I even stayed for a while. And then I was like, I found an opportunity. Like, I don't remember if I moved or my job was somewhere different. And I was like, oh, sorry, it's just not going to work because my job doesn't let me have this time. It was something random, you know? And this is the other thing. The interesting thing about that was I had worked with that stylist because they were available on the days that I needed. And when they started running their own schedule, they would say, oh, you can only book me on Thursdays now. And I was like, well, that doesn't really work for me. Like, and again, it's another reason to leave that stylist. And I think that's kind of the most underrated thing is that the commission salons, like, I know this is going to sound crazy, but hopefully your commission salon and you're like, yeah, Doug and Jason, yeah, right. But like the idea here is that the commission salon is actually designed to protect the stylist from themselves and from the guest.
Yep.
I'll say that again. A commission salon is designed to protect the stylist from themselves and the guests, or the stylist, or the stylist from the guests, because the stylist would just be or the guest would be super demanding on the stylist time. And then the commission salon is the intermediary. And then same thing, the stylist may not be able to manage their time very well or manage the rest of the business. So that's part of it. So I think if you want to be in an environment where you want to thrive as a stylist, you might, and I'll leave you on this last thought because we're coming to the end of the podcast today. But I think one of the things is if you're a stylist and you really want to do incredible hair and you want a place to grow, a commission salon can be one of the best places for you to be. But I want to leave you on this final thought. I was just doing a video about this yesterday. People don't leave salons. They leave salon managers. And that could be you as the owner. It could be the manager of your salon. And here's what happens. They run out of salon future, meaning they no longer see a path towards success or haven't been properly communicated their path to success inside your commission salon. So the fact that they're potentially looking outside of your salon is because somewhere along the line, yes, somebody got in their brain and started marketing that they have halitosis or sweetosis or commissionatosis or whatever we're going to call it here, right? Somebody got in their brain and started implanting that thing. But then they had to take a long, hard look and say, is my future better here or is it better somewhere else? And for you as a salon owner that have had lost people, and Doug, I know you've lost people before, and I know other salons in our academy have lost people. I don't mean to punch anybody in the face by saying this, but like if you've lost people, and by the way, me as a business owner, I've lost people too that have left, and I'm like, what the hell? It's because they ran out of future. Is they thought that their life could be better somewhere else. And you know what? Sometimes that's fine. That's a natural part of doing business. But if you can look at yourself as a leader and say, where can I clean this up? How can I better educate people about the difference between rental versus commission? How can I show them there's a path to one day open another location with me, or one day become a shareholder in this salon, or one day become, a part of what we do to become management, and like give them a path to ascend into the greater things. I think it makes a huge difference inside the salon when you communicate those things. So just be aware of those symbols, be aware of what's going on. And again, if you want to see the like side-by-side dollar for dollar example, we're going to be doing that in that masterclass, a comment masterclass. If you haven't commented, I told you 15 times to comment during this podcast. So comment masterclass, and I'll give you access to the full side-by-side breakdown that you can use to actually have a better conversation with your staff to make sure they don't even consider rental. And Doug, do you want to mention, I hope it's okay that I prompt you on this. Do you want to mention what you talked about during the onboarding process? Because I think we're going to be implementing this inside the academy over the next couple of weeks. And I think it's good to just see the idea.
I think it's the onboarding. I mean, we sit down at each level getting the breakdown of booth rental versus commission at each level in the salon so that they can see it. I mean, I think let's just go ahead and have the real conversation. I always hate getting the text of, hey, I appreciate everything done for me, but I've decided to go and do my own. It's like, yeah, and they don't even know what it's like. They've gotten that illusion,
and at that point, it's too late. You can't say, "Let me show you the thing," because they've already told all their clients.
And what's terrible is some of them are actually angry about it because they got in there. It's like, oh, the salon owner's been taking money from me, which just isn't the truth. I mean, so there again, when we break down the numbers, they can see everything that we're spending the money that they're bringing in on. They understand, it's not a high profit margin in the salon business, especially on services. The profit comes off of the retail sale, not the services. The margins are much different. But I think having that conversation up front, let's talk about the white elephant in the room and get that conversation.
Don't be afraid of talking about the numbers.
Let's go ahead and give them the tools. So if somebody in their family or they're hearing that stuff and someone hearing it, keep all the money, they can then take that and put it in front of them and say, this is what it really looks like. And you can move the numbers around, play with it. I mean, I'm not trying to slant it one way. It's like, look at it and make an intelligent decision. Is this what you want to take on? And if that is, then fine. This is what it is over here, and embrace where you are and be happy where you are, and don't feel like someone's taking advantage of you, because your money's going to be the same either way. Either you're going to do a lot of that stuff yourself, or you're going to have someone else do it for you. That's going to be your choice.
So guys, I hope we answered the question, is it better commission or rental? I think the answer is always, it depends. But obviously we lend towards commission for both the stylist and for the stylist and for the owner. I mean, the owner gets to build a team and the stylist gets to work on a team. We find that to be one of the most positive environments for creating growth. Rental tends to be a static or a neutral position or a shrinking position, which we don't want anybody to be in for any reason. We want ambitious, high energy people. And we know that ambitious, high energy people thrive around other ambitious, high energy people. And that's usually not the case. I get calls from renters all the time, or people who run sweet rental salons. They're like, how do I get my team? How do I get my renters to work together? I'm like, you don't, they're renters. You can't do that. It's illegal. Right. If you try to work like them as a team. So don't confuse the models. If you want them to act like a team, help them be a team, put them on the right business model. And in some states, for crying out loud, you might be thinking this is illegal. In some states, even do rental, because they know how many times that they get shafted on the taxes and all these other things. So hopefully it's been really helpful for you. If this was helpful, do me a favor and comment helpful. I'd love to know that this podcast did some good out there in the universe for commission salons. And again, if you want the masterclass, comment masterclass, I'll give you the information. I hope you guys always enjoy our podcast. We've hit some record numbers of subscribers, and we'd really appreciate your endorsement by leaving us a review on our podcast by going on to Spotify or Pandora or Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you can find the podcast and actually give us a review. It's really helpful and helps other people find our podcast, learn more about it. We've been doing this. We're almost 100 episodes in here, and we can't wait to do even more great quality give content like this. Thank you guys so much for being here. Have a good one. Thanks, Doug.
Later, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Evo Revo podcast. Today's podcast was brought to you by Salon Scale, allowing you to charge by what you know, not by what you feel. Please subscribe, leave us a review, and you can always get more information, including show notes and the video episodes at evorevopodcast.com.